The footage you are about to witness was discovered deep within Ravenwood Forest, a place long abandoned and steeped in terrifying folklore. In 2019, a group of 4 friends ventured into the heart of the forest, lured by the mystery of its haunted past. They were never seen again. What remains is the footage they left behind, fragments of their last moments. But be warned, once you see what they saw, you may never sleep again. The journey begins. The sky was an ominous shade of gray as the 4 friends, Ethan, Sam, Olivia, and Mark, parked their SUV at the entrance of Ravenwood Forest. The towering trees stretched into the distance like skeletal fingers, their gnarled branches twisting against the storm-heavy sky. The air was unnaturally still, the only sound the soft crunch of dead leaves beneath their boots. "This place gives me the creeps," Olivia muttered, adjusting the strap of her backpack. "Are we seriously doing this?" "Come on, Liv," Ethan grinned, hoisting the camera onto his shoulder. "We came all this way. We're making history here." First real footage of the Ravenwood haunting. Sam smirked. "Or, just a bunch of trees and bad Wi-Fi." Mark, the quietest of the group, studied the barely visible path ahead. "If the stories are true, we won't need Wi-Fi. The ghosts will find us just fine." No one laughed. With their gear secured and cameras rolling, they stepped into the depths of the forest. The legend of Ravenwood. As they walked, Ethan narrated into the camera. Ravenwood Forest, home to one of the most infamous urban legends in the state. According to local lore, a village once stood in the heart of these woods, but in the early 1900s, the entire population vanished overnight. No bodies, no signs of struggle. Just gone. The only thing left behind was an old wooden church, with its doors wide open and a single phrase carved into the altar: "The hollow awaits." Sam scoffed. "Sounds like someone just got tired of paying taxes and bailed." Olivia shivered. "Or something took them." The deeper they ventured, the thicker the trees became, blocking out the dying daylight. The eerie quiet pressed in around them, and an unshakable feeling settled over the group, like they were being watched. The first omen. As night fell, they set up camp in a small clearing. The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows against the surrounding trees. "All right," Ethan said, adjusting the camera. "Tonight we're going to document everything. EVP sessions, infrared scans, the works. If there's anything here, we'll find it." Olivia glanced at the trees. "Or it'll find us." An hour passed, then 2. The air grew colder, heavier. The occasional rustling in the distance made Olivia grip her flashlight tighter. Then a whisper. Faint. Indistinct. Almost like a sigh carried by the wind. Mark stiffened. "Did you hear that?" Ethan swung the camera around, its infrared light cutting through the darkness. The screen showed only trees and shifting shadows. Another whisper. Closer this time. Sam exhaled, forcing a chuckle. "Probably the wind." A twig snapped. Everyone froze. The camera whirred as Ethan zoomed in on the tree-line. For a moment, nothing moved. Then a figure. Pale. Thin. Watching. Then it was gone. The group exchanged uneasy glances. "We should go," Olivia whispered. "Not yet," Ethan insisted, keeping the camera rolling. "We need more footage." A low, distant sound echoed through the trees. Not quite a growl, not quite a moan. Something was out there, and it was getting closer. The footage turns. Hours later, exhaustion won out, and the group retreated to their tents. But the camera continued recording. At 2:43 a.m., the microphone picked up something unusual. A voice. Not from anyone in the camp. A deep, guttural whisper. "Leave now." Then Olivia's scream. The tent zipper ripped open as Ethan scrambled out, the camera shaking violently. Olivia stood at the edge of the clearing, trembling, her flashlight clutched so tightly her knuckles were white. Her voice cracked. "I saw something." "What?" Ethan panted. She pointed toward the trees. "A face. right outside my tent. Mark and Sam emerged, rubbing their eyes. What's going on? Then, before anyone could respond, a high-pitched, keening wail split the night. It came from the forest. It sounded human, but wrong. Then silence. Total. Suffocating. Silence. Guys, Sam whispered. Where's the fire? They turned. The campfire, which had been burning just moments before, was now dead. The embers were cold. Ethan swung the camera around, scanning the darkness. That's when they saw it. Just beyond the tree line, something stood, tall, impossibly thin. Its skin stretched too tight over its bones. Its head tilted, eyes hollow and black. Watching. Then it moved. Straight toward them. The vanishing. The footage became erratic, shaking. Footsteps crunching against the forest floor. Gasping breaths. The last thing recorded was Olivia's sobbing voice. It's right behind me. Then static. The footage ends. The search team never found the bodies. Only the camera. Still recording. Still waiting. The search team found the camera, but not the bodies. The footage revealed only fragmented terror, whispers in the dark, the flicker of dying flashlight beams, and the last recorded words of Olivia. It's right behind me. What happened in the final moments before the camera fell silent? Why was there no trace of Ethan, Sam, Olivia, or Mark? The remaining footage may hold the answers. But some questions should never be asked. Some things should never be found. Press play if you dare. The aftermath of fear. The screen flickers. Night vision distorts the surroundings, turning the trees into eerie skeletal figures. The camera lies abandoned on the forest floor, its red recording light blinking. Somewhere beyond its limited view, the forest is alive with sounds, panting breaths, rapid footsteps, and something else. A low, wet clicking. Then a voice, ragged and desperate. Run. A figure stumbles into frame, Ethan. His face is streaked with dirt, sweat, and something darker. He snatches the camera, the lens swinging wildly as he bolts through the undergrowth. Branches whip against his face. The beam from his flashlight bounces erratically. His breath comes in short, panic gasps. Then behind him a shriek. Not human. Not animal. Something in between. Ethan doesn't look back. He knows what he saw. What had been watching them all night. Something is wrong. The footage cuts abruptly. Static. Then, blackness. When the camera flickers back on, the screen is filled with a swaying silhouette of trees. It takes a moment to realize the camera is no longer in Ethan's hands. The lens is tilted at an unnatural angle, half buried in the dirt, as if someone or something dropped it there. A sound breaks the stillness. A whisper close to the microphone. Not English. Not any recognizable language. The whisper fades, replaced by the crunch of footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Then a shape moves past the camera. Not Ethan. Not any of them. It doesn't move like a person. It glides. A flash of pale, stretched skin. Hollowed out eyes. A mouth that doesn't belong on any human face. Then the screen distorts. The image twists, warping into a blur of static and half-seen figures, as if the camera itself is rejecting what it has captured. And then Olivia's voice. Far away. Weak. Please. The lost ones. The screen shifts again, and suddenly the camera is somewhere else. The forest is gone. The footage now shows an old wooden building, its structure rotting, vines curling through broken windows. The camera trembles as someone, Ethan, moves through the doorway. The air inside is thick with dust and something darker, clinging to the walls like oil. A whisper snakes through the silence. Not from behind the camera, from the walls themselves. Then, Olivia's voice again. Closer. Help me. The camera swings toward a doorway at the end of the hall. It's open. Beyond it, only darkness. A low hum rises from somewhere deep within the building. A vibration that rattles the microphone. making the audio crackle. It doesn't sound mechanical. It sounds alive. Ethan, or whoever is holding the camera, steps forward. The doorway swallows them whole. The hollow church. Inside, the darkness is thick and smothering. The air is heavy, humming with a presence unseen. The camera's night vision struggles, casting the room in eerie green light. Then a figure. Olivia. She stands in the center of the room, her back to the camera, her body unnaturally still. Her clothes are torn, her breathing shallow. But it's her posture that is wrong. Too rigid, too forced. As if something is holding her up. Ethan's voice trembles. Olivia? She doesn't turn. The camera inches closer. The light catches something behind her, a wall. Carved into the wood over and over again are the same words. The hollow awaits. A groan vibrates through the air, deep and inhuman. Then Olivia moves, not turning, not stepping, lifting. Her feet leave the ground. She rises, her back arching, her arms hanging limp. A shadow unfurls from the darkness behind her. Tall, thin, wrong. Ethan chokes back a scream. The camera shakes violently as he stumbles back. Then Olivia speaks. But it isn't her voice. It's deeper. Hollow. You should not be here. The camera cuts. The last recording. The next clip is the final entry in the footage. The camera is back in the forest, discarded in the dirt. It's no longer night, but early morning. The light is weak, filtered through the trees. The lens is tilted toward the sky. There are no voices, no movement, just silence. Then, from somewhere unseen, footsteps. They stop just outside the frame. A shadow falls over the camera. Something reaches down. A flash of pale, elongated fingers. Then, the recording ends. The camera was found 1 week later, lying in the exact spot where the footage stops. No sign of the bodies. No traces of Ethan, Sam, Olivia, or Mark. Just the recordings. And the message carved into the abandoned church. The hollow awaits. The search team recovered the camera. The footage revealed unspeakable horrors. The sight of Olivia levitating. An unseen force twisting her body as a voice not her own whispered, "You should not be here." But what happened after the camera fell? What became of Ethan, Sam, Olivia, and Mark in the final hours before they vanished? The remaining footage holds chilling answers. Some places keep their secrets. Some places don't let you leave. Press play. The camera moves. The footage returns, but something is different. The forest is still, but the colors are off, washed out, drained. The leaves, once vibrant green, are now ashen gray. The sky is a dull, sickly yellow. The camera, lying abandoned in the dirt, suddenly jerks forward. Something picked it up. For a moment, the screen distorts. A flickering pulse, like a heartbeat, throbs through the audio. Then it stabilizes. Footsteps crunch against dead leaves. The camera swings, scanning the forest. Whoever holds it now is breathing heavily. Ragged, uneven gasps. Then a voice. "Hello? Guys?" It's Sam. Sam's descent. His face comes into view, scratched, pale, terrified. His eyes dart between the trees. He turns the camera on himself, whispering, "I don't know where they are. I don't even know where I am." His voice cracks. "I was running," he swallows hard. "I swear I was just by the tents, but now this place looks different. Like it's not even real." The camera swings wildly as he spins around, heart pounding. The trees stretch impossibly high, their branches twisting in unnatural directions. The deeper he looks, the more the forest seems to shift, the trunks stretching, bending, breathing. A low whisper drifts through the air. Not from Sam, from the trees. "Turn back." Sam whimpers, gripping the camera like a lifeline. He takes a shaky step forward. Then, footsteps behind him. His breathing stops. Slowly, he turns the camera over his shoulder. Nothing. Just trees. Dead silence. Then a shape steps out from behind one of them. Tall, thin, motionless, watching. The endless path. Sam bolts. The camera swings wildly as he crashes through the underbrush. His gasping breaths drown out all other sounds. The footage blurs, distorts, the trees shifting unnaturally, as if the forest itself is changing around him. Then a break in the trees. He stumbles into a clearing and stops cold. His flashlight flickers. The church. The same abandoned church where Olivia had levitated. The same one with the words carved into the altar. The hollow awaits. His breath catches. He wasn't supposed to be here. He had run in the opposite direction. But the forest had brought him back. The door opens. The wind picks up, rattling the old wooden door. It creaks open by itself. Inside, pitch black. A deep hum pulses from within. Low, vibrating. A single word drifts from the darkness. Sam. He recoils. His name shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be here. The camera trembles in his hands. Then something moves inside. A figure. Unseen but present. Standing just beyond the doorway. Then the whisper comes again. Closer. Come in. Sam takes a step back. Then another. A branch snaps behind him. His breath catches. Slowly, he tilts the camera over his shoulder and sees Mark, standing at the tree line, still, expressionless, his eyes too wide, his mouth slightly open, whispering something under his breath. Sam exhales a shaky, relieved laugh. Jesus, Mark, what the hell, man? You scared the... Mark tilts his head. Sam's words die in his throat. Something is wrong. Mark is too still, too pale. His skin looks stretched. His neck too long. His whispering, it's not words. It's just sound. A broken, garbled loop. Sam takes a step forward, then freezes. Mark's feet aren't touching the ground. The distortion. Sam chokes on his scream. The camera jerks as he stumbles backward. Mark, or whatever is wearing Mark's face, begins to glide toward him, its mouth moving faster, the whispering warping into an inhuman wet gurgle. Sam runs. The camera captures a blur of motion, the forest distorting as if reality itself is breaking apart. His ragged breathing fills the audio. Then, the whispering stops. Silence. Too sudden. Too complete. Sam slows, turning the camera around. Mark is gone. The trees are still. Nothing but the wind. Sam pants, his voice barely above a whisper. Please let me go. A response from somewhere unseen. You are already gone? The camera glitches. A flash of something. A shape. A face, Olivia's. Eyes hollow. Lips moving soundlessly. Then blackness. The last echo. The final clip on the recovered camera is only 3 seconds long. The screen flickers back to life, showing a still image, the abandoned church. The door is wide open. Inside, darkness. Then a figure steps into view. Not Sam. Not Olivia. Not Mark. Something else. The screen distorts. The figure tilts its head. Then, in the last half-second of footage, it smiles. A deep, guttural whisper fills the speakers. The search team found the camera. Then the footage revealed unspeakable horrors. Olivia levitating, Mark's body moving unnaturally, and Sam running for his life, only to hear a chilling whisper. You are already gone. The last recorded image was the abandoned church, its door wide open. And in the doorway a figure, smiling. Now, we uncover the final hours of the doomed explorers. The forest never lets its victims go. Press play. The church beckons. The footage resumes in eerie silence. The screen is tilted slightly, the lens pointing at the abandoned church. The wind moans through the trees. The doorway gapes like a mouth, hungry and waiting. Then footsteps. A shaky breath. The camera shifts as someone, Ethan, picks it up. The image wobbles, adjusting focus. Then a whisper. "Please, let me out." The camera swings wildly. The voice Olivia's. Ethan stumbles forward. "Olivia?" His voice is hoarse, desperate. She sobs from somewhere inside. I don't know where I am." Ethan grips the camera tighter. His hands tremble. "I'm coming." He steps forward. The wooden floor creaks beneath his weight. The door slams shut behind him. Inside the hollow, pitch black. The camera's night vision flickers on. The walls are covered in claw marks, deep, jagged scratches gouged into the rotting wood. Symbols, twisted and unreadable, swirl along the floor. Ethan swallows hard. "Olivia?" The silence stretches. Then, a scuffling noise. He whirls around. The camera catches movement, a shadow skittering across the far wall, impossibly fast. A breath behind him. Cold. Damp. "You shouldn't have come." Ethan spins, but there's nothing. Just the empty, endless dark. Then, Olivia's voice again. Closer this time. "Ethan, please." He steps forward, the wooden floorboards groaning under his weight. A door stands at the end of the hall, barely visible in the night vision. Slowly, cautiously, he reaches for the handle. The second his fingers touch it, the whispering begins. Soft at first, like wind through dead leaves. Then, rising, a chorus of hundreds of voices overlapping, merging, twisting together in a language that doesn't belong to this world. Ethan gasps, clutching his head. The camera glitches violently. Then, the door bursts open. The room of echoes. Inside, the air is heavy. The walls breathe. The symbols carved into the wood seem to writhe, shifting under the dim glow of the camera's infrared light. Ethan stumbles forward. "Olivia?" A shape lurks in the corner. A figure, trembling, facing away from him. Long, tangled hair. "Olivia." Ethan exhales shakily. "Liv." She doesn't respond. She twitches. A slow, jerky convulsion. Her head tilts unnaturally, as though listening to something only she can hear. Then, in a voice that isn't hers, she speaks. "It's here?" Ethan freezes. Olivia turns. Her eyes, gone. Hollow sockets gape from her pale face, weeping black. The whispering grows deafening. Something moves behind her. Something huge. The shadows shift. Stretch. A shape unfurls from the darkness. A mass of limbs, jagged and impossibly tall. Eyes, too many of them, blink open across its shifting form. It does not breathe. It does not move. It watches. Then it smiles. Ethan chokes back a scream. Olivia lunges. The camera shakes violently as Ethan stumbles backward, the night vision distorting into blurs of white and black. Then everything collapses. The missing hours. Static. The next clip begins abruptly. The timestamp is missing. The camera now lies outside. The church stands behind it, silent and undisturbed. The sky above is no longer dark, but a dull, endless gray. Something is wrong. The colors are wrong. The trees look like shadows of themselves, blurry, half-formed. And the forest is silent. Too silent. A figure stumbles into frame, Mark. But something is wrong with his face. His features shift, distorting like water. His mouth moves, but makes no sound. His eyes blink at different speeds. Then, Olivia enters the frame. Her face is normal. She looks at the camera. At you. And whispers. It's watching. The camera glitches. Their forms flicker, stuttering like a corrupted file. Then a third figure steps into view. Not Ethan. Not Sam. Something else. The screen warps violently. The whispering returns, louder than ever. And then, the screen goes black. A final, guttural whisper seeps through the silence. The hollow is awake. The final discovery. When the search team recovered the camera, it was still recording. The footage ends with a single frame. A single image. The abandoned church, its door wide open. And just inside the threshold, 4 figures stand. Ethan, Olivia, Sam, Mark. Staring. Still. Their faces distorted beyond recognition. And behind them, rising from the dark, something else. Something waiting. The hollow has them now. And it is hungry for more. The recovered footage told a terrifying story. Olivia levitating, Mark's distorted form whispering in endless loops, Sam running from something wearing Mark's face, and Ethan trapped in the decaying church, watching Olivia's empty eyes weep black. The last image on the camera showed 4 figures standing in the church doorway. Ethan, Olivia, Sam, Mark. But their faces were wrong. And behind them, something else was waiting. Now, the final moments of their footage reveal the truth about Ravenwood Forest. The hollow has taken them. But their story is not over. Press play. The final footage. The screen flickers back to life. The image glitches, as if something inside the footage is trying to break free. The forest stands silent. Too still. Then a sound. Distant. Low. A rhythmic chanting. The camera, now lying abandoned on the forest floor, tilts upward. Shadows move between the trees. A figure steps into view, Olivia. Her eyes gone. Her mouth moves soundlessly. Her lips tremble, as if she is trying to speak. Then another figure emerges. Mark. Then Sam. Then Ethan. They stand side by side, facing the camera. Unmoving. Their mouths, all moving, in sync. The whispering grows. Then Olivia's voice, perfectly clear. But it does not come from her lips. It comes from everywhere. Do you see it? The screen distorts. A flash of movement behind them. Something huge. Unfolding. The whispering twists into screaming. Then black. Silence. The footage cuts. The emergency call. The next file recovered was not video. It was audio. A recorded 911 call. The transcript is as follows. Dispatch. 911, what's your emergency? Caller, unidentified male, you have to send someone Ravenwood, Jesus Christ, it's not. Heavy static, they're all gone. Everyone is gone. Dispatch. Sir, I need you to calm down. What's your location? Caller, it's wrong. The forest is wrong. I tried to leave, but it keeps bringing me back. Dispatch. Bringing you back? Sir, are you injured? Caller, no. No? But oh God, they're here. The line distorts. A second voice cuts in a whisper. Unknown voice. The hollow calls. A horrible wet sound. A choking gasp. Then silence. Dispatch, sir? Are you still there? Sir? Dead air. The call ends. The final discovery. After the emergency call, police launched one final search of Ravenwood Forest. No bodies were recovered. No signs of Ethan, Olivia, Mark, or Sam. But they found something else. At the base of the old church, buried beneath layers of rotting leaves and earth, search teams uncovered a door. A trapdoor. Old. Wooden. Ancient symbols carved into its surface. The words read, "Do not open." The search team forced it open anyway. Below a staircase. A tunnel. And at the very bottom, a room. Inside, the walls were covered in handprints. Hundreds of them. And in the center of the room, sitting neatly on a stone altar, was a single recording device. Still powered on. Still recording. The final audio file lasted only 4 seconds. A single voice. Familiar. Ethan's voice. Whispering. You let it out. Then a low guttural sound. A growl. And finally laughter. The device shut off. The hollow was awake. And it was hungry. Epilogue. The disappearance of Ravenwood Forest. 2 weeks after the final search, something happened. Ravenwood Forest burned. A fire, unexplained, spread through the entire woodland area. The church. The ruins. The tunnels beneath. Everything was destroyed. Official reports claimed it was a natural disaster. a freak wildfire. But locals tell a different story. They say the fire wasn't spreading out. It was spreading in, as if something inside the forest was trying to contain whatever had been unleashed. No one goes near Ravenwood anymore. No trails. No campsites. And at night, if you listen closely near the old forest's edge, you can still hear the whispering. A single phrase, carried on the wind. The hollow awaits.